Hello. How's the audio? Can you hear me? Am I too loud? Is the music too loud? I'm assuming that means that it's pretty good since I'm not getting anything, so. Sounds right? Awesome. Can you hear me and the music at the same time? Like, is it a good mix? Okay, awesome. Yeet. I was editing my stream for this, and I had a text box that I had to get rid of that was called Yeet because for some reason on one of the games that I was playing, I had a yeet counter for how many times I said it, so I had to get rid of that text box. Okay, thanks, Sammy. I will turn up the audio when it's time for the examples then. This is from Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life, if you haven't heard it before. Hello! Okay, thank you. I'll just turn it up. Is this better? Is it too loud? Nice. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Well, thank you everyone for coming. It is about that time. So let me just tell you a little bit about what this is. I really appreciate you coming. So I think pretty much everyone here already knows that I am a ludomusicologist, so I study video game music. And I wrote my thesis, my master's thesis, about cozy video game music. And I analyzed like a lot of music. I'm super proud of it. And all summer I've been working on turning that into an article. And I just finished my article and submitted it to a journal, so I'm super excited. I hope that it gets accepted. And then it'll be like peer-reviewed and published and like all official and cool. But I was invited by this company called The Symposium, which is just like a super clever name, to present about my research at a bar in town. And people are like paying to go to this event, which is insane. There's gonna be like a Mario Kart tournament before, which isn't the coziest of games, but it is like a great draw for a good like community like fun game thing. And then I have a 45-minute lecture with like 15 minutes for questions after. And since I'm like the main event, I guess it's okay if I go slightly over. I timed myself doing this yesterday and it was a little bit over, but I'm gonna try to maybe cut some down. I already cut some, so maybe it's better, but yeah, Mario Kart. Oh, cool, that's still there. Thanks for the follows, too. This is awesome. Yeah, Mario Kart's pretty cozy when you aren't competitive and you're just having a good time and you don't really care. It's not in my family, though. But thank you all for coming, wherever you came from. I really appreciate it. This is not what I normally do on my channel, although if you would like to come to my channel, I play a lot of cozy games, and I usually end up talking about the music, very informally, so if you want to stick around for that, I might even play a game later today, after the presentation, so yeah, over my face. This is normally a screen that I put up when I'm just, like taking a break from playing a game and I'm just chatting. So usually that doesn't go off that much though. Yeah, oh, and so the main reason I'm doing this is one, to share this with my internet friends because I'm trying to make this lecture, accessible to people who aren't music researchers, or maybe don't even have like any music knowledge. So if that's you, I'm really glad you're here. Your feedback is going to be extremely important to me. Sorry, the music is very loud to me, so I'm getting distracted. So I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. There is in the chat a form. I'll put it back in there, and maybe my mod can keep leaving that link in there if anyone asks for it, but there's a form to fill out at the end of the lecture. Oh, perfect, it's pinned. Thank you. And it has like certain questions, but just anything you have in mind. If you want to take notes, if you want to just have the form open, if you just want to enjoy the lecture too, that's fine. The form should be anonymous though, so be as honest as you would like. And there will be time for a Q&A at the end. So, I think that is all of my... I was gonna say that's all I have to say, but that's actually not even the half of what I have to say today. Let me know if there's any issues as I'm going, but feel free to use the chat if you have any like comments on what I'm talking about. I'm probably not going to be reading it that much, but I will definitely read them when I get through. So, okay, here it goes. March of 2020 was a pivotal moment in global history. One event would change the... Sorry, I am doing the thing where I'm trying not to read the chat, and yet I am still reading the chat. Yeah, thanks for coming. Nothing left to say. Okay. Starting over. Everything is fine. March of 2020 was a pivotal moment in global history. One event would change the world as we knew it forever, and I think you all know what I'm talking about. The release of Animal Crossing New Horizons, of course. This Nintendo Switch exclusive was an instant success, selling over 42.21 million units to date. Although it was the 5th entry in the series, it quickly became the most popular, introducing new kinds of players to the cozy game genre. Within Animal Crossing New Horizons, players would move to an island and build a community of animal neighbors, including Filbert. Right there. On their island, players will plant and chop trees, catch bugs and fish, and decorate their island how they like. They interact with nature, their NPC animal friends, and even their IRL friends that can visit and explore their island through an online connection. New Horizons came into the world at a necessary time, only 5 days after the US national shutdown for COVID-19. Players were isolated in their homes and seeking a sense of community and comfort that they found in New Horizons. Animal Crossing New Horizons wasn't the first cozy game, though. They've been continually released since 1996, with the first notable title being the Japanese Bokujo Motoritari for the SNES. It was localized for the North American market in 1997 under the name Harvest Moon. This began a long series of Harvest Moon games and spin-offs containing roughly 44 games total. In Harvest Moon games, the player often decides to move away from their monotonous life in the big city to take over a family farm. They plant and harvest crops, make friends with the townspeople, fish, forage, mine, care for animals, and even marry villagers, and raise children. Many of you may be familiar with the popular game Stardew Valley, I hope so, which released in 2016. This phenomenal game was developed by one person, Eric Barone, under the developer name of Concerned Ape. He also wrote the entire soundtrack with no formal music training. And this game was inspired by the long-standing Harvest Moon series. So today we're going to dig into all things cozy games and their music. But before we get to that, I'm going to talk about what I do, what music theory is, what is ludomusicology, so you get an idea of what to expect with what I'm talking about. Then we're going to establish what cozy games actually are, and how cozy media has the ability to heal us, and then how music can be cozy. And then I have a number of musical examples from various games for you. So, I'm a music theorist. What do music theorists do? We do music analysis a lot, which is one of my favorite things, like a hobby of mine. This often involves looking at a score or listening to a piece of music very deeply and considering various musical elements like pitch, form, and harmony, and how all of that works together. When you're studying video game music, it's especially a lot of listening because we don't have music notes, we don't have scores to look at. So it's also a lot of writing the music down. We also have established frameworks that we use to do these things, but we also create new ones that help us see the music in a new light. And then we just really want to understand the inner workings of music, which can help us as composers, educators, or performers, and just music researchers in general. So there are a few people that are considered music theorists, just like professionally, but at most universities, all music majors have to take 4 or more semesters of theory. So it's very common knowledge among professional musicians. And it is considered a subdiscipline of musicology. Musicologists examine the social, cultural, and historical significance of music. So there's kind of this assumption that we all just study Mozart and Beethoven, but we study music from all eras, genres, and locations. We ask questions like, what techniques do film composers use to make us feel a certain way? Or what rhythm and accents can tell us about the meaning of rap songs? And like, what role does music play in social movements and protests? So my interest is in ludomusicology, which is just a very fancy word for the study of video game music, or the study of game music. Ludo comes from the Latin root word meaning I play. So although most of us study video games, the word can be applied to the study of music in sports, tabletop games, and I even recently saw it applied to Legos, which was super cool. We talk about a wide range of subjects. And if any of these topics are interesting to you, I can provide some excellent sources if you just want to like hit me up. I'll give you like a brief synopsis. We talk about the history of video games, arcade music, older consoles like the SNES, Sega Genesis, how that evolved over time, chiptunes, the technology behind game audio as different systems had different sound capabilities. And I will discuss a little bit about this later on. Immersion, like the role that music and sound plays in helping the player get in the zone and feel like they understand the game world that they're in. And how every person will experience the game audio differently and the implications that that has on play and how players are in a way performing a game. And then that goes into the interactivity of the media. Although film and game music are often compared, game audio is unique because it's interactive. The sound responds to our inputs, and that changes what we hear. And then we have the role of nostalgia in video game music and sound, how music contributes to the overall narrative of the game, which I will speak a little bit on, and then just the cultural significance of game audio in our society. Which it must be significant to some of you as you are here right now. All of these topics often reach outside of music theory and musicology into interdisciplinary studies in like technology and psychology, for example. And although many of us have a tendency to focus on the music, game audio is all sound. So, my interest in ludomusicology is not just limited to cozy video games. I love lots and lots of games. I have played them most of my life. And these are just a few that stand out to me as kind of developmentally important to me. But cozy games have found a very special place in my heart. For their relaxing gameplay, I've learned a lot about farming, so much that I've even started my own little farm in the backyard. And of course the cozy music, which is just perfect for studying, for doing chores. It just makes everything feel nicer when you're listening to cozy video game music. And the seasonal music from games like Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley set the vibe for each season. So whenever it's the first day of fall, I like to put on my fall cozy playlist and just like snuggle up in a little sweater. Um, and then cozy games, of course, were an escape for me during the COVID shutdown, as it was for a lot of people. Which made an even stronger connection to me. They were important at a pivotal moment and tough times in my life. As I continually listen to these game soundtracks, I've noticed that I'm not the only person who shares this sentiment. These are YouTube comments from the game tracks that I will discuss today. You'll notice people saying things like my troubles are floating away and even relating it to Studio Ghibli movies. And I really hope that a lecture on cozy music has the same affect as the music itself, and it causes all your worries to float away. So first, let's establish what is a cozy game. Is it even a real game genre? Well, of course the coziest of games is Call of Duty. Just kidding. Game genre labels can be difficult to pinpoint. When I classify a game as an FPS, a first-person shooter, you likely picture a game like Call of Duty that involves targeting enemies in a warlike setting. But my favorite FPS is Slime Rancher, a cozy video game where you use your gun to collect bulbous slime creatures to raise on your ranch. It's basically Stardew Valley FPS. Although FPSs are associated with a typical setting, theme, mood, and visual design, the truth is, all that FPS actually tells you is the point of view and the game mechanics. Clark, Lee, and Clark identify multiple dimensions of information represented in common game genre classifications. These aspects offer a wide range of information, which one game label typically cannot satisfy. The identifier of cozy deals with affect and mood primarily. These cozy games may also fit within genres like life or farming sim, which accurately identify the in-game activities, but not necessarily any other aspects. These are just a few notable games that can be classified as cozy. Though they all feature different premises, common elements include everyday mundane tasks, the ability to be creative, and a focus on nature and interaction with NPCs. They are typically risk-free. Players don't need to worry about game over screens or how efficiently they beat the game. Unless you play like a lot of Stardew Valley, in which case I know you have the wiki open and like at least 3 spreadsheets. But otherwise, they're pretty cozy. And these cozy games are similar to a genre of Japanese anime and manga called Iyashikei. Iyashikei, which is Japanese for healing, represents media that portrays characters living out peaceful lives in calming environments with the intent to soothe audiences. Notable Iyashikei movies are Studio Ghibli movies like My Neighbor Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service, based on a novel of the same name. One popular TV show is Laid Back Camp, which I recommend you watch if you're into this kind of thing. Iyashikei movies make me want to go to sleep and just like snuggle up. Iyashikei media focuses on nature and companionship. The primary action is simple tasks like cooking and picking flowers. They focus on small sensory details, like showing the audience every detail of making a meal with realistic sounds, and these elements make it healing and cozy. Let's watch this example of just Iyashikei from Laid Back Camp.
あらかじめ切って持ってきた具材をオリーブオイルとおろしニンニクで炒めます。そこに水 150cc とコンソメ1個を投入し沸騰させます。パスタはこのままでは鍋に入らないので2つ折りにして投入。標高が高いところでは沸点が低く、茹でても芯が残ってしまうことがあるので、そういう時は細いパスタを使います。パスタが水分を吸ってだんだんお湯が減ってくるので、ここで牛乳 200cc とスライスチーズ2枚を入れてもう少し火にかけ、最後に黒胡椒とパセリで仕上げて完成。
I'm loving these comments. That's awesome. Iyashikei plots are simple with just enough mystery to keep the audience interested, but not enough to be super riveting. In Iyashikei plots, one of the characters deals with a difficult situation, like a broken family relationship. Audiences can identify with the characters and find tranquility in the story's resolution and apply it to their own lives. Iyashikei products rose to popularity in Japan in the 1990s. Japan experienced two national traumas in 1995 with terrorist attacks and the Kobe earthquake. An economic recession, along with this trauma, led to the need for stress relief, creating a market of therapeutic items. Harvest Moon was released in 1996 during this Iyashikei trend. Cozy games can be considered Iyashikei as they align with all of these traits I've discussed. In most Harvest Moon games, the player is tasked with dealing with healing the harvest goddess, and sometimes creating healing through emotional stability for the NPCs or themselves along the way. In Stardew Valley, the player typically restores the community center, and helps the NPCs through their own trauma. Players seek out cozy games to self-soothe and escape the trials of daily life. They're distracted by the simple tasks and find healing through the plots and natural setting. Cozy games also come in waves of popularity that align with large-scale trauma, as we've seen with Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing New Horizons. More cozy games have been released since 2020. In a modern world, players are looking for solace and escape. Cozy games allow players to experience natural environments, walkable communities where they know all of their neighbors, or live the idealized life of a farmer, all risk-free without having to leave the comfort of their homes, because who wants to work outside in this heat? For fun. So now we're going to talk about how music can be cozy and how music can be Iyashikei. Note that when I talk about the music in these games, I use the word tracks or pieces interchangeably. I analyzed over 150 musical tracks from 35 different cozy games, which I will happily share a list of if you're interested. I asked, why is this music cozy? What do the musical tracks have in common with each other, and how is it achieving this comforting affect? After some analysis, I considered how what I found in the music aligned with the Iyashikei genre. This chart comes from my hopefully forthcoming article on the subject. In the left column, I have Iyashikei traits, and in the right column, traits found in cozy video game music. I'm engaging in what we call topic theory. This is when a collection of musical traits signifies something to the listener. So for example, when you hear loud music with a strong like da-da-da-da-da rhythm, percussion like snare, bass, and cymbals, and strong brass like trumpets, you probably think of a march that's often associated with the military, and those traits make up what we call the march topic. So this is the Iyashikei topic that I have theorized. If a piece of music has most of these traits, it is likely to be cozy. With topic theory, not every track will have to have every single trait on the list, and if a song has one or two things on the list, like a stepwise melody in a major key, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be cozy, but it contributes to it. So in my analysis, I found that the majority of cozy video game music uses these traits in some combination. I will talk about each of these in detail with various musical examples. So, the first trait of the Iyashikei musical topic is nature. The most obvious way that nature is represented in cozy games music is through environmental sounds like birds chirping and wind blowing and like leaves rustling in the wind. In some Stardew Valley tracks, there are even nature sounds embedded in the music in addition to the environmental sounds. So for example, we're going to listen to a clip from Spring, Wild Horseradish Jam from Stardew Valley, and notice the birds at the beginning. Hopefully that was loud enough. Nature can also be represented by a natural order in the music. This can be heard through the use of major keys and diatonic harmonies. You're likely familiar with the major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. In elementary music classes, it's sometimes characterized as happy and uplifting compared to the minor scale, which is sad and dark. Music that is diatonic in a major key means it hasn't been altered with flat and sharp notes. It's basic and it is simple. Stepwise melodies move from note to note in the major scale without large skips. These descriptions also fit music that is often taught in elementary classrooms, so they're easy to sing and pick up. So for example, I'm going to play for you the melody of Stardew Valley Overture. The first one is the original major version, and the second one is a minor version that I wrote. Now for the minor version. So while very cool, you'll notice that the first is much more brighter and probably comforting. Then you add in a simple harmony to match, rather than chords that are distant to the key, and it stays cozy. It keeps this cozy, simple vibe. Thank you. I wrote it myself. Well, I wrote one of them myself. Simplicity is also used in cozy music, and it's represented by simple diatonic melody and harmony, like we just mentioned. However, for the music to be interesting, it needs just a small element of mystery that's provided in a few dissonances. These are a few notes or chords that are sprinkled in that are not extremely distant from the key, and they're not going to raise any eyebrows. These dissonances also resolve quickly to avoid drawn-out tension, because we would not want that in a cozy game. Suspensions and secondary dominants, for example, are common in a lot of accessible and singable music, like church hymns. I won't go into much detail on dissonance to not take time away, but I'm happy to share more with you if you're interested in learning more at another time. Improvisatory sections in the music can also keep things interesting. This usually happens in the middle of a track to keep it from getting stale. I also see these sections as a way to encourage the player to be creative. In games like Animal Crossing and The Sims, building and decorating are core to the gameplay. This gives the music an element of improv while the player is doing a form of improv themselves. And then textural layering is extremely common in cozy video game music. This is where the piece begins with one element, like a harmony, and a little bit later another element is added, like percussion, and then a little bit later the melody is added, and these elements just keep adding up that way. So that way any new musical material that we hear is accompanied by something that we've already heard and is familiar. So let's listen to Stardew Valley Overture, and I want you to note this layering of material. This is the title screen. Birds chirping. Added the bass. And now it's going to add the melody. And then it's gonna add percussion. But I'll move on. You see that textural layering. In Animal Crossing New Horizons, the entire soundtrack actually uses a similar layering technique in the whole game. So when the player begins a new game, they go through 7 phases at the beginning. Each phase introduces new gameplay mechanics or characters along with new music. This chart comes from Natalie Farrell's article, which discusses the game's relationship with the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm going to play for you phase 1, and then phase 2, and then phase 6, so you can see how the track changes over time. So this is phase 1. This is phase 2. Very subtle. Now here's 6. That might be my favorite track in the whole game, and you only can hear it in the beginning, in that phase. So these phases occur over the course of at least a week in real life. So this textural layering that's happening is extremely large scale, and it's so subtle you might miss it. After phase 7, the player then hears music that changes every hour. Even the hourly music is made up of little motifs from the title screen music. And in this way, any new music the player hears will also be familiar in some way. This whole image and idea comes from a peer-reviewed video journal, and I highly recommend this. It's like a 15-minute watch. It's incredible. If you like the music of Animal Crossing, you should check it out. I can send you the link. So that is the textural layering element. Iyashikei Media focuses on repetitive, everyday tasks like watering crops and cooking. This repetition is found in the music of cozy games through repeating harmony, rhythm, form, and ostinato, which is a repeated rhythm or motive. So really just a lot of repetition, which you probably heard in the Animal Crossing example. Returning to Stardew Valley Overture, and it's totally okay if you can't read music, I just left this in there for those who can. The first thing that we hear is a repeating arpeggiated harmony. This is where, instead of playing 3 notes at the same time to make a chord, the 3 notes are played in a rhythm that are following each other. So that arpeggiated harmony is a bum 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 bum. It's just a chord that's taking place over time. So this includes the harmony and a rhythm. This method is extremely common in cozy game music and likely came from a necessity and then formed into a stylistic trait. So, for example, Harvest Moon on the SNES and Nintendo 64 set a precedent for games to follow as early popular cozy games. And these older gaming consoles had sound chips that had a limited number of audio channels that they were available to use. So, just to give you an idea of what this might sound like, I'm going to play a track from the this is Spring from the SNES Harvest Moon. Sorry, that was loud. And then that loops endlessly. Endlessly. You might have noticed that there are only about 3 to 4 things happening at once, and they are all about the same volume. They all also sound very synthesized, and this is because the SNES only had 8 audio channels. And to make other timbres, you actually have to use multiple audio channels and layer like waveforms on top of each other. It's very cool. But it was limited to 8, and some of those were reserved for interactive audio, like the sounds that happens when you pick something up. So the composers had to get really creative with the musical structure. If they used a chord in the traditional stacked formation, that would use 3 audio channels at once, which is too many. So by arpeggiating the chords, they can tell the listener the harmony and the rhythm by only using one channel. So this technique, oh, not the glasses push. So this technique that was basically essential to write game music then became a stylistic trait used in most cozy video game music. One more element of repetition is the musical form. Video game music in general often has very repetitive form where it just loops endlessly until you leave an area and you get like super annoyed by it. But in games like Stardew Valley and Fields of Mystria, they don't do this. The tracks are about 3 minutes long and they don't repeat. When they end, the player is just left with environmental sounds. However, even though the tracks themselves don't repeat, they often have repeating sections in them, making them intentionally repetitive, not just repetitive for the sake of filling space. Small sensory details are another Iyashikei element. The attention to small details like nature sounds immerse the player deeper into the environment. Basing the composition on a small motive or ostinato may also contribute to this idea. Most cozy game tracks have a moderate walking speed tempo, aligning with the speed of gameplay, a slower style. The musical style typically complements the visuals. This is accomplished through bright instrumentation, like flute and light plucked strings that might make you think of spring. In my master's thesis, I also discuss how music can give the listener a sense of furusato, which is Japanese for hometown, through genre evocation. So music with like blues, country, and folk inspiration, alongside the game visuals, tell the player about the game's location, which is often a small rural town, and that gives them a sense of home that they might not have otherwise, of like local community. Similarly, Animal Crossing New Horizons uses ukulele, acoustic guitar, congas, kabasa, and tambourine to reflect this island getaway environment that isn't present in other Animal Crossing games. I also have a chapter on seasonal music in cozy games that evoke imagery of each season, aligning with the game visuals, like what makes spring sound like spring. And this contributes to the small sensory details. I will give you a little brief synopsis of that because I know that some people here are interested in this. But I have a separate video and presentation on this if you want to hear more. These slides, these little cards, come from a presentation that I did, and specifically on seasonal music in Stardew Valley. So if you don't want to read more about like theory scholarship, I'll send you the video. But spring is the most characteristic of cozy video game music, with bright instrumentation and major tonality. What makes it stand out is ascending melodies and bass lines going up like flowers ascending from the ground during spring. Summer tracks either sound like music from warmer climate areas, like the global south, with Afro-Cuban rhythms, drums, and like steel drums, or they sound like summer pop with a strong slap bass, upbeat melody, and formal structure found in most pop music, like you're going to a summer beach party. Giving you just overall this like warmth in the music. Fall in Stardew Valley features descending melodic lines like leaves falling. It strays from the major scale into more ambiguous tonality that's kind of hard to put your finger on. just like how the leaves in fall mix these warm colors, I feel like the tonality in the music kind of mixes these like warm tonal colors. It also uses woody timbres like clarinet and oboe and woodblocks, and the slower speed of the song reflects the transition into the cold of the season. In other games like Mario Kart and like Animal Crossing Mario Kart and some Harvest Moons, fall is characterized by either bossa nova jazz or a nasally melodica or accordion melody. And then winter in cold levels of pretty much all games, not just cozy, are usually much slower with icy metallic percussion and reverb, and there's usually not any drums. But in Stardew Valley specifically, the thirds of the chords are missing. So the third of a chord tells you if it's major or minor. It characterizes the chord, so without the third, the chord is left feeling empty and bare, like the winter fields. So all of these seasonal tracks in these games reinforce the visuals and the overall vibe of the in-game season, and in this way, music conveys the small sensory details of the Iyashikei genre. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call them power chords. They don't really come off as that, not presented in the same way as in rock music. But I suppose you could call them power chords. You listen to Stardew Valley, like Winter Ancient, and tell me that's a power chord. Okay, well, I've talked a lot about Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon, but let's talk about maybe some lesser known indie games that deserve a lot of recognition. So, A Short Hike is a 2019 game that centers on a bird named Claire that is taken on a trip to Hawk Peak Provincial Park, which is similar to an American state park. But it was a Canadian developed game, so it's a provincial park. Once there, she realizes she has no phone reception, and so she must begin a trek to the top of Hawk Peak in hopes of having reception to be on her phone. Along the way, she explores nature, collects items, and makes new friends. I won't spoil the ending for you, but she finds peace at the peak. Kate Galloway discusses sensory awareness and ecoregions in A Short Hike. The music creates separate locations in a larger game world that's not divided by loading screens. In the first area of the game, there's no music, only environmental sounds. Once the player reaches this area, the track Beach Buds begins to play. The longer the player stays in the area, the more variations of the track they will hear. Consider the elements we've discussed already of simplicity and repetition as we listen and watch this portion of Beach Buds. Oh no. Okay. And then it repeats and it ends up adding more. But hopefully you notice the simple singable stepwise melody. There's the added, it's the same melody, but now we just added another instrument. There's a guitar harmonic ostinato, there's repetitive harmony, and textural layering. So finally, there is a healing element to cozy game music in the Iyashikei topic, which is the healing topic. As with most music, the structure relies on tension and release through resolving dissonances. However, sometimes the music in cozy games has healing through this musical narrative throughout the game. So the perfect game to demonstrate this, I think, is Spiritfarer. Spiritfarer is a cozy management game about grief. The player's character, Stella, must build a boat and journey to the world, befriending spirits to heal and release to the afterlife as she becomes the new Spiritfarer. Though the overall plot may sound dark, this lighthearted game affords the same coziness as other games through similar tasks like fishing and cooking and crafting. The first town Stella visits is Hummingberg, which is based on Colmar, France. The Iyashikei track begins with plucked strings, establishing the repeating harmonic ostinato. The simple melody is then added in. So we're going to watch some gameplay of Hummingberg. This is the improvisatory section. This melody that we just heard is foundational to the entire game soundtrack, with each new town featuring a variation of it. The next track I will discuss is the final one in the game. It's called Stella's Departure. This next part contains major spoilers for Spiritfarer, so if you don't want to be spoiled, cover your ears or turn your volume down until the next slide. The next slide will be spoiler-free. Okay? Spoiler alert. At the end of the game, the player has made several friends and brought them through the Everdoor to the end of their journey. She learns that she has created the spirit realm in her mind as she is laying in the hospital bed surrounded by family and nearing her final breath. All the spirits she met in the game are people she knew in real life, and the towns were based on locations that she actually visited. Once the player is ready, their final task is to bring Stella to the Everdoor, ending her life and subsequently the game. Along the way, Stella has helped spirits come to terms with their end, and now the player comes face to face with the end themselves. This track plays as she passes through the Everdoor. Okay, spoilers are over. You can unmute. This track is piano only, and it begins with this I see open parallel fifth motive with reverb. And this occurs every time that Stella is near the Everdoor area. The coldness is then broken up by this warm C major chord that has a little bit of dissonance with this added seventh. The tempo here moves very freely, making each moment feel precious. The familiar melody then enters, now slower and longer. It was originally in 3/4 and now it's in 4/4 time. This reminds the player of the long journey that they've been on and where it has led. So let's listen to Stella's Departure. The culmination of musical ideas in this track reminds the player of the emotional growth they've had through the game, and they're comforted by the familiarity, making it a little bit easier to take what's going on. This game overall is just a wonderful representation of healing Iyashikei. Definitely recommend you play it if you haven't yet, or play it again and cry a lot. Also, just a quick note, I'm seeing that it looks like there's going to be ads running in 7 minutes, and I don't know how to stop that from happening, so if it starts playing ads, just yell at me in the chat and I will stop talking. Okay. In my hopefully forthcoming article, I also discuss another well-established musical topic called the pastoral topic that has been theorized endlessly in Baroque, classical, and romantic music. Musical topics can mean different things in different places and time periods, and I discuss pastoralism in relationship to cozy games. Pastoral music invokes the peacefulness of an idealistic life of shepherds. Many cozy games feature gameplay that mirrors this rural lifestyle. You will see my sheep in the corner. Listed here are 10 musical elements that Robert Hatton attributes to the pastoral topic. I've emboldened similarities to the Iyashikei topic. Some additional pastoral elements not listed are song-like melodies and phrasing, plucked string accompaniment, and prominent flute or oboe, which I mentioned before. Though the pastoral topic sounds slightly different in varying genres, the essence of simplicity and naturalness remains. In the tracks I've shown you today, you may have noticed some pastoral elements listed here, like drone fifths, a beachy like wave-like rhythm, or plucked strings, like in Beach Buds or Hummingbird. These, aligned with the Iyashikei topic, create this cozy feeling. When music within the game breaks from these topics, it makes the player aware of the shift in mood or affect. For example, the mines in Stardew Valley are a dangerous place, where the player must fight enemies and risk losing health and items. Then it may come as no surprise that the mine music breaks from the Iyashikei topic, which alerts the player that they are no longer in a cozy zone. In this way, Iyashikei and pastoral music creates what Julian Grosso calls affective zones. Affective zones are spaces in games defined by boundaries created by musical sounds rather than by walls, levels, and screens. These zones do not only signify a difference in location, but provide the player with information on how to feel or act within the area. Music can tell us whether a location is safe or dangerous, calm or active, and even cold or warm, like with the seasonal music. Although cozy games rarely break from the cozy affective zone, we can apply this concept to other games as well. For example, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is not a game that necessarily fits the cozy label. The game heavily features unfriendly foes, but some aspects of the gameplay afford coziness. The player will likely spend several hours exploring open fields, climbing mountains, and making friends with townsfolk. Wesley Bradford details a nature topic related to the pastoral in the music of Breath of the Wild. The open fields are accompanied with the natural sounds and improvisatory piano that reflects the landscape. This music provides a peaceful affect that invites coziness. When the music becomes more dissonant and fast-paced, it marks a shift in affect. The Guardian theme, for example, alerts the player to imminent danger. I will show you a clip of my own gameplay. And if you've ever played this game, you know how terrifying it is when you hear that music, but you don't see the Guardian, or like, the first time that I saw one of these, it's like, ingrained in me. This is a perfect example of affective zones. I was peacefully wandering in a field with light piano music. No loading screen or cutscene happened. Rather, the music alerted me of the impending doom. Music that fits the Iyashikei and pastoral framework is found in the town themes of many popular games like the Final Fantasy and Legend of Zelda series. The cozy music lets you know that you are no longer in danger. In these locations, you do Iyashikei tasks like helping townsfolk cooking and rounding up chickens, or kakos. Whether it is game music or music that you hear on the radio, or let's be real, it's Spotify or YouTube now, I hope that you consider why the music sounds cozy and comforting. Thank you for listening. And here are my sources. Now we're gonna open it up for Q&A. The Q&A at my in-person lecture is gonna be 15 minutes long. Also, I forgot to time that. I can go back and watch the VOD, but if anyone happened to be timing that, let me know what I ended up at. I don't think it was 45 minutes. 50. That's close enough. If you, in the feedback, if you fill out that form, let me know if there's anything you think that I can cut. If I over-explain something. Thank you all for coming. Yes, feedback link. I see an ad is going to start in 1 minute, and I cannot... Wait, can I snooze it? Okay, I can snooze it for another 5. Okay. Cool. I don't think I can snooze it again, so we got like 5 more minutes. Oh, a QR code would be good, yeah. Will, can you pin the thing again? How many ad breaks are allowed in my lecture? I don't think there will be any ad breaks in my lecture. I just did it again. I will pin it. Okay, should be pinned now. But if you have any questions, I can answer them right now. Or if you have any comments, feel free to leave any feedback. I'm probably not going to remember any feedback you give me right now on like things to change, so if you could leave it in that Google form, that'd be like really, really appreciated. Thank you very much. I really appreciate y'all coming. Y'all were like really entertaining. I'm gonna go back and like read some of these comments. What makes the missing thirds of the winter theme significant? Yeah, so you took a little bit of music theory, right? So in, I guess in classical music and in a lot of video game music, that is not in music outside of like rock and pop music, there's not a lot of power chords like that. And so the reason that I found the missing thirds to be significant is because you can't tell whether the chord is major or minor, and that third gives the whole chord its identity. So without that identity, it's left like feeling bare. And when I listened to those songs, like I definitely felt that. And I actually didn't mention this, but when I first started doing that project, I had a little Google form where I put 4 songs, 4 tracks from Stardew Valley. Each was a different season, and I had people listen to it, and they told me what season they thought it sounded like, and the majority of people selected the right season, the correct season that the game associated that with. And people then told me why, and a lot of people said that it felt empty for some reason, and I think that missing third contributes to the emptiness of it, because it's missing this, like, extremely important identifying information. Thank you for coming, Ryan. I appreciate it. I'm gonna try to catch your stream later. Are y'all still playing? I don't know if Dana's still here, but are y'all still playing Clair Obscura? I'm trying to avoid spoilers for it because I haven't played it yet. Yeah, not sad, just cold. And the reverb really contributes to the iciness. You have your beret on. Awesome. Yeah, I have been avoiding stream because I don't want to... I still want to play the game myself. So I don't want to spoil anything. Any more questions? I don't know who some of you people are. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you you people. I don't know where all of you came from. I advertised this in a lot of different places. So if you want to tell me, if you don't know me, if you haven't been here before and you want to tell me where you know me from, or how you got here, that's cool, let me know. What's the best Stardew track? That is hard. Well, one of my favorites is Tropicala. Summer Tropicala is such a bop. Actually, let me... You're gonna know, if you don't know the names, you're gonna know this instantly. Yeah, this is such a bop. It's not like the coziest of tracks in the game. I really like all the spring tracks though. Oh, and Mine, Star Lumpy, and Cloth. Some of the mines are like really great. Ghost Scent? Fall Ghost Scent is really great. I believe the ad's about to start. Please stick around if you want to keep chatting. I appreciate you all for coming. Which storyline's my favorite in Spiritfarer? The one that wrecked me was Atul because I wasn't expecting him to leave when he did. The one that I think is like my favorite, like the most interesting. Oh, I like the lions. The lions, like, that's really memorable to me. Oh, but also there's the, like, is it, I don't remember his name, like, the bird that plays the violin. That, like, meant a lot to me, but also, like, the snake, I don't know, I liked all of them. I kept Gwen around for a long time. I'm sorry about the ad. I won't say anything important. I meant to pre-roll the ads, like 3-minute pre-roll, but then I forgot and it didn't let me after it already played one of them. Michael Jackson sharks. I'll change it to my regular stream, unless you want to keep looking at my sources. Let me put on my cozy music playlist. I have a playlist of cozy video game music that is 337 videos long. Thank you. This is my normal overlay. I'm also like, I did share that playlist with you, yeah. I'm happy to share this cozy game music playlist with you if you're interested. It is extremely long, and YouTube doesn't have the best shuffle. I'm actually gonna do that because it's super loud. But, and some tracks might even be repeated, but it's like pretty much like all Cozy Harvest Moon, most of Stardew Valley, which Stardew Valley itself is like 70 tracks. It's got a lot of indie games like Short Hike, Spiritfarer, Slime Rancher, Animal Crossing, like all the Animal Crossings. Cozy Grove, which is like extremely underrated. The Cozy Grove soundtrack is one of my favorites to put on if I have to do some reading or writing and I just like really don't want to. I can put on Cozy Grove and that'll like kickstart me. It's only 30 minutes long though. But Cozy Grove's great. I mean, the game is, like, good, but I think the music is, like, better, so even if you don't play Cozy Grove, like, go listen to the Cozy Grove soundtrack. I just got Slime Rancher 2 and I haven't played it yet. So I might do that. Dana, what time does the stream start? I always forget because I changed time zones a year ago. 9. Okay, cool. So if I wanted to play a game, I could play a game for like an hour. Yeah, I'm still, if you have any questions, there were some things I like had to leave out. Like for example, I wanted to talk more about The Sims, because I'm like a big Sims fan. Actually, I kind of want to open, I wonder if I'm logged into my EA account, because if I am, like, you have to know how many hours I have in The Sims 4 because it is, unrealistic. Oh no, I did not want to open The Sims 4. I wanted to open EA. Yeah, The Sims 1 build music, and that was kind of, that's, a point that I actually really wanted to make, because there's kind of two modes of play in The Sims, right? You have, like, the people who are the builders in the the build-buy mode, and then you have the people who are the live play, or I don't know if it's live or live. I didn't realize this until, like, 2 years ago. Like, people say it differently, and it could be either. But the people who are builders are normally, like, those are the cozy gamers, and then the people who, like, the live play are, like, super chaotic, and they do some really heinous things in that game. And everyone knows the, like, deleting the ladder trick when your Sims are in the pool, right? Very, like, not cozy action. I'm a builder, that's why I have so many hours. Like, I, of course, like, have played some live mode, but, like, I'm mostly in the, what is this? What is this from? This is Winter Village from Spiritfarer, and you can hear the little hummingbird, melody. Yeah, but the music in the build mode is cozy. It fits the Iyashikei topic, like, super well. Is because, that is the cozy mode. Also, if you were wondering, I have 6,111 hours in The Sims 4. But in my defense, this game came out in 2014. Like, I was still in high school. So, just to age me a little bit, I'm not that crazy, but you know, like, when you play The Sims 4, you either, you can't just, like, play it continually. You have to, like, play it for, like, 5 days straight with no breaks, and then, like, not touch it for 7 months. That's the only way you can play The Sims. There's no in between. And so I can't open this game, or I will not do anything ever. Yeah, Minecraft. This is, by the way, this is Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar's title theme. I have this on shuffle, so I have, like, no idea what's gonna play next. Thanks for coming, Poncho. Thanks for, like, advertising it for me, too. It's super nice of you. Hope you enjoyed it. Also, thanks to everyone who followed during that. Really appreciate it. I hit my follower goal, I noticed. I've had that follower goal forever, but, like, to be fair, I haven't streamed much since I started grad school. I did, yeah. Also, for those of you new here as well, I'm normally a VTuber. Like, I started out using my camera, and then Sammy Do made me a VTube model that's, like, really awesome, really cute. It's, my emotes are my VTube model. I'll just drop those so you can see, because it takes, like, way too much effort for me to switch over to the model, so I won't do that right now, but, yeah, if you happen to come back and see me play games, I might be looking like this, or I might be lazy and not want to put, you know, not want to look nice, and so I'll have my model instead. Flesh tuber. I flapped like a goblin. Thank you. I feel like you've seen me. I feel like you've seen what I look like before. Thank you all for coming. It's, nice to see you again. Unhappy Cardigan. Yeah, FleshTuber is incredible. Red Fury is normally, like, she normally lurks in my streams, but, one of the very few Twitch streams that I actually watch, I have been in her community since, I don't know, like, since COVID, I think. Back a long time ago when you were playing Stardew Valley is when I found you. But Red's community is, like, really great, really special to me. Aw, that's so sweet, Red. A flesh tuber. That makes it sound like tuber is as in a shape, or as in, like, you know, like a tuber, like a vegetable or something. Like, what is a flesh tuber? Out of context? Oh yes, the 100% playthrough. This track is from Witchwood, which is amazing. I like your flesh tubers. I played Witchwood non-stop. Like, it was the first game I played on the Steam Deck, I think. And once I started, I did not stop until that game was finished. And it's like a 40-hour play. Red, you would love it. If you haven't played Witchwood, like... Actually, I want to say... No, you played Little Witch in the Woods. I remember when you did that. I know! The PNG tubers, like... not as cool as the VTubers. I mean, it's just like 2 images and one of them is the mouth open. Witchwood, like that. It's super cute. Like, the style, the art style kind of reminds me of, like, Paper Mario almost. Man, just, it is beautiful. It is super engaging. The music isn't like, there is some cozy music in it, but most of it is more kind of vibes based. Like, environment, like whatever the vibe of the environment. Oh, this track! This is an important one. This is the main theme to Harvest Moon 64. which some people would argue is like the most important Harvest Moon game. That's actually where one of my sheep images came from. Harvest Moon 64, if you have a Switch and you have like the online membership and you've never played a Harvest Moon game and you don't mind playing old games, like if I know some people like can't stomach playing older games if they didn't grow up with them, because they're not used to it, but like if you have a Switch, you can play Harvest Moon SNES and Harvest Moon 64, I think. I didn't really get a chance to mention this, but Harvest Moon is now owned by they like changed hands, and the people who developed the game like broke up with the localizer, and so if you buy Harvest Moon now, it's not the same game. The people who made Harvest Moon now make Story of Seasons, and lately Story of Seasons hasn't even been putting out new games really. They've just been like remaking old Harvest Moon games. So like Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar is coming out, or has come out. Story of Seasons A Wonderful Life came out, and Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town. And Friends of Mineral Town was one of the like pivotal like Harvest Moon games. So if you want to play like a modern version of a Harvest Moon game, I'd recommend like Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town. There's also RPG. There's like an RPG version of Harvest Moon that is made by the same people called Rune Factory. This is Harvest Moon Game Boy Color 2. And this is like the new farm owner track. I don't even remember this one. Thanks for coming, Red! Have a great time zone. Thanks! Bye! Should I play a game? Should I play a game now? Let's see. I could either play Slime Rancher 2. I've been wanting to play Grease. I need to redo Wander Song because I started it and then it lost my data. This is Spring from Harvest Moon Sunshine Islands. Thank you everyone who- oh, Outer Wilds? I do need to play Outer Wilds. Is now the time to play Outer Wilds though? I have things to do. I mean, not for long. I guess I could play Outer Wilds. After this lecture on Monday, I'm gonna be like freed up and feel a lot better. I want to check this Google form really quick. Because see, before Monday I'm gonna have to make changes to things. Okay, I got 4 responses. That is feedback. Okay, I should probably do something instead of like reading this. I don't know, Grease is like gonna be short. That's also on my list because I do like I have like included it in some of my research. I just haven't actually played it. Let's see. Or I could do, I don't know. I'm torn. I could also keep playing Mystria. Okay, what's your vote? I think Will is, like, the main one that's gonna be here. There's still some people left. Should I play Mystria? Oh, I also have Date Everything. That sounds kind of, or like, I Love You, Colonel Sanders. So I could play Grease, Fields of Mystria, Date Everything, I Love You, Colonel Sanders, Slime Rancher 2, which will be a commitment, Outer Wilds, which will also be a commitment. I'm kind of thinking, oh, there was an output error? What do you mean? I'm kind of thinking I don't want to play a game that's a big time commitment because I'm not done with Donkey Kong yet. So I'll do, like, Outer Wilds later. I think maybe let's do Date Everything. Haven't opened it yet, so it might need to download some stuff. Let me close out my slides and stuff. Will, you'll have to give me your personal feedback. Maybe you should leave it in the link so that okay. Hold on, where's my Twitch stuff? Oh, I can't even see what the stream looks like right now. Am I buffering? Or is it just buffering for me? Oh my goodness, what is going on? Ah! It, like, started the game, but I can't, like, do anything. And it's taking up multiple streams, and I can't see my cursor anymore. Oh no. This is why I normally have the game, like, have things already open before I do anything else. Before I start streaming. Okay. Okay, let me stop that. I need this to, like, fit to the screen. And then let's see. And then I can cut sound alerts back on. I wonder if they're working. I feel like every time I go away from stream and then I have to try it again, it, like, goes away and I have to reconfigure it.
Hey.
Oh!
Hey.
Why is it playing? It came through my computer speakers instead of my headphones. That was really weird. Gosh, I haven't streamed in so long. I don't know what to do with that. Okay. It's buffering? Oh no, RIP! RIP. Maybe I should call it then. I blame you, Will. Is your internet. Whoa. This is feeling bad. I'm killing my stream right now. Absolutely killing it. And not in the good way. Okay. Date everything. Let me check stream again. What can I do? I can't believe it, like, held up until just now. Gosh, why is it big again? Whoa, what is happening? Okay. Cool. Is good. Let me, edit my stream info so that...
Hello there.
Hello there. What? It's mature? Hello. Interesting. Interesting. I'm still seeing buffering on my end. Oh, wait, did it fix? Yeah. Maybe I just, call it while I'm ahead, and I will come back another day and play this game. And perhaps other games. I might try to play, like, I'm definitely gonna play Slime Rancher 2 on stream because I played Slime Rancher on stream. But I can't believe that, the lecture was fine, but now it's like, nah fam. That's so crazy. I'm glad it held up. I'm not used to streaming over Wi-Fi instead of, with the Ethernet cable, so maybe it's just, like, weaker for me down here or something, but... This is my end screen. Wow! I didn't even know some of these people were here. That's really awesome. Thank you for anyone who's left. Thank you so much for coming. This has been really great. It's been nice to, like, practice this for an audience, and also just, like, I have a lot of friends who I know have wanted to hear this, so I'm glad that I can share my research with people. Thank you to everyone who followed and left feedback and just came and hung out. Really appreciate it. I will try